Church, let me tell you, your sin does not knock you out of the race. It may take you to a pit stop for a while where you need to be refueled and things need to be adjusted and changed, right? But your sin does not take you out of the race. And God's desire is to those who have gone off course and have honestly confessed that He has a future for them in which He tends to use them. Even in their brokenness, as part of their story, He still intends to use them to declare the excellencies of a God who has brought them out of darkness and into light.
Another day, another devastating story from the Christian world. And another prominent pastor has stepped down, leaving his congregation shocked and heartbroken. But as we've seen so many times, the story is never as simple as the initial announcement. This time, the news comes from Central Bible Church, a 1,800-member non-denominational church in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Their lead pastor, David Daniels, has resigned. The church's initial announcement, which was quickly removed from their website, stated that Daniels was asked to step down due to an ongoing pattern of moral failure. Here's what really bothers me about this situation. The church's initial announcement painted this as a pastor who came forward voluntarily after years of struggling with corn addiction. It was framed as someone finally getting help for a personal struggle. But if the additional information is accurate, this wasn't a voluntary confession. This was crisis management after being caught in inappropriate behavior with someone outside his marriage. Amy from the Watch Keep made an astute observation. You must keep in mind that churches are not being as transparent as it appears, and yes, they are capable of lying. And that's the heart of the issue here. An email obtained by the investigative news outlet, The Watch Keep, revealed the specific nature of this moral failure. The email states that Daniels confessed to the elders that for the past number of years he had developed a corn addiction that was deeply affecting his marriage and his walk with the Lord. This week, Dr. David Daniels was asked to resign as lead pastor of Central Bible Church due to an ongoing pattern of moral failure that he recently confessed to our elders. David shared for the past number of years he had developed a pornographic addiction that was deeply affecting his marriage and his walk with the Lord. As the elders listened to David, they were both shocked and saddened by what they heard. As the elders met together to discuss what David had confessed, they were united in their decision that David had disqualified himself from serving as our lead pastor, since one of the qualifications for elders is to be above reproach. 1 Timothy 3:2. Thankfully, David is in agreement with their decision. In his letter of resignation, David wrote, "Have been genuinely broken over the foolish decisions I have made, including not allowing myself to be rightly accountable to each of you. I have failed our church, my ministry partners, Tiffany, and the Lord. As I have expressed before, I am truly sorry." Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not here to pile on someone who's already fallen. Pastor Daniels is a human being who's clearly made serious mistakes that have damaged his marriage, his family, and his community. His wife and children are innocent victims in this situation. In his resignation letter, Daniels wrote, "I have been genuinely broken over the foolish decisions I have made. As I have expressed before, I am truly sorry." That sounds like genuine remorse. But the question remains, would this remorse have existed without the threat of blackmail forcing his hand? This is a recurring theme, isn't it? We see these men, often at the pinnacle of their careers, with thousands of people looking up to them, and they are struggling in secret with a sin that is often considered private. But as we've seen, private sins rarely stay private, and the consequences are almost never confined to just one person. This is just the latest in a string of prominent Texas pastors to resign due to moral failings. The list is staggering. Robert Morris, Tony Evans, Ronald Goines, Tony Camarota, and Josiah Anthony. This isn't an isolated incident. This is a pattern. Now, at this point, the story seems to be a familiar one. A pastor confesses, a church acts with a mix of shock and sadness, and a statement is released. The pastor agrees with the decision, but then things get murky. Daniel stated he was stepping away from social media, a logical move for someone in this situation. However, on his inactive X account, he made a single, puzzling comment on the Watch Keep's post about the story, claiming he had no idea what the post was referring to. This contradictory statement raises a lot of questions about the initial agreement with his resignation. But the most explosive revelation comes from a follow-up report by Amy of the Watchkeep. She received new, alleged information that completely changes the narrative. According to an email she received, Daniels's sudden and unexpected confession wasn't entirely his own idea. The email alleges that he was texting another woman inappropriate photos, and then she threatened to blackmail him, so he came forward to the elders. This, if true, completely reframes the entire situation. It's not a voluntary confession of a repentant heart, but a preemptive damage control move to get ahead of an inevitable scandal. It suggests that the ongoing pattern wasn't something he was ready to stop on his own. It took the threat of public exposure to bring it all to the surface. The church, for their part, responded to the Watchkeep's inquiry. And this is where we need to read between the lines. They said, "Employment privacy laws prevent us from going into further details. We can confirm that David Daniels has resigned. To our knowledge, though our church policies were not upheld, no laws were broken, and no member or attendee in our church was involved or directly affected. Our elders followed a process already in place once they were made aware of the situation. The departure was sudden and unexpected, and we have sought to be transparent with those who attend our church and those with whom David Daniels has been involved in ministry. While David Daniels will not return to teach in our church, we care deeply for him, his wife, and his family. We welcome them to continue attending here, as we know we are all imperfect people in need of a Savior. Our mission at Central Bible Church has been and will continue to be to make God known by making disciples who God changes to change their world." This part is particularly interesting. No member or attendee in our church was involved or directly affected. When a pastor is found to have had an alleged sensual relationship with another person, the church is often quick to distance the issue from the congregation. It's an attempt to minimize the scandal and protect the church's reputation. But the real story here is not just about David Daniels. It's about a culture where this kind of behavior seems to be more common than we realize. It's about a system that often protects the reputation of the institution over the truth and accountability of its leaders. Central Bible Church says they will continue to make God known by making disciples who God changes to change their world. But we have to ask ourselves, how can you change the world if you're not willing to be fully transparent about what's happening in your own house? This story is a sobering reminder that the title pastor does not make a man immune to temptation, and that true leadership requires not just confession, but full and complete accountability. The David Daniels situation is unfortunately just the latest in a string of high-profile pastoral failures that highlight systemic problems in how we handle religious leadership. While we should have compassion for someone who's struggling with personal demons, we also can't ignore the broader implications of how these situations are handled. The members of Central Bible Church, like so many other congregations dealing with leadership scandals, deserve better than half-truths and corporate speak. They deserve leaders who embody the values they preach, and when those leaders fail, they deserve honesty about what happened. What do you think? Have you seen similar situations in your community? How do you think churches should handle leadership failures? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis helpful, please like and subscribe. It helps me continue covering these important stories that mainstream media often overlooks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.